Aside from my four cockatiels, I'm also inspired by the birds that just show up. The ones outside our window, in the garden, wherever they land. I've actually built a whole little collection around them, feathered friends, if you've seen it in the shop. Today, I want to share one of my favorite techniques for painting them, wet on wet. If you're into loose, playful watercolor and you love birds and animals the way I do, grab a brush and paint along with me. And here's the thing about this technique. It doesn't need to be perfect. Actually, it needs the opposite. You want messy. You want loose lines, unpredictable blooms, and the occasional splatter. That's not a mistake here. That's the whole point. Step 1. Even though I love a loose style, I still sketch the bird in some detail first. I want the proportions to feel real, even if the paint itself gets wild later. Now, I do have a separate video where I skip sketching entirely and paint straight in. If that sounds more like your speed, go check that one out. But for today, let's give ourselves a little guide to work from. Step 2. Pick your reference. Maybe you snapped a photo of a bird nearby, maybe you found one online for practice. Actually, I'll drop a free reference photo of one of my own birds in the description so you've got something to paint along with if you don't have your own. Once you've got your reference, pick your palette. No limit here, have fun with it. You don't need to match the bird's real colors exactly. Pick what excites you. Step 3. And this is the technique itself. Wet on wet simply means putting watercolor onto the paper that's already wet instead of dry. I wet my brush first and paint clean water over the whole shape of the bird. Sometimes I do this in sections if the shape is bigger rather than all at once. Here's a small tip. If you're newer to this, you're looking for the paper to have a nice, even sheen, almost glossy, but not pooling into puddles. That's your sweet spot. Too wet, it'll pool oddly. Too dry, the color won't spread the way you want. Once that's down, pick up your brush with color, any color you like, and just let it bleed into the wet area. Pick a different color, drop it nearby, and watch what happens where they meet. This is where you can really get a little crazy. Some of my favorite moments in these paintings weren't planned at all. They just happened because two colors met in a wet spot and did something unexpected. If you ever get one of those blotchy, cauliflower-looking blooms where the edges go a bit fuzzy and organic, don't panic and don't wipe it out. Those happen when new water hits paint that's almost dry, and honestly, they can be some of the most interesting textures in a whole piece. Step 4. Once everything's fully dry, that's when we go back in and highlight the details. The feathers, the beak, the eyes, the tail. You can do this with more watercolor layered on top now that the base is dry. Or like I often do, you can bring in ink or colored pencils for these final details instead. And that's really it. No strict rules here, just us having fun while still capturing something true about the bird underneath all that looseness. If you try this with your own neighbor bird or with the reference I've left you, I'd love to see what you make.